All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 are brought to us by the official beer of the program. Everybody knows how we relax in the ZASLOW mansion with a nice cold Johnny Cuba in our hand. Make sure you go to johnnycuba.us. Use the Johnny locator. You can find the nearest location to you. You pick up a six-pack. Make sure you always drink responsibly. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Joining us now, we're going to be NBA heavy on today's program. Our pal is SiriusXM NBA Radio's Justin Termine. You hear him in the afternoons on the afternoon drive with the great Eddie Johnson. Termine, good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, well, I was in a good mood, and then you called Eddie great. Now I'm feeling like I need to cancel the spot here because, you clearly don't know what the hell you're talking about. So that's the last time you're to say that. In fact, correct it for me in order for me to go on. Tell me that, I carry Eddie and he's horrible.
Joining us now, the much greater and not to be confused with on the same level of Eddie Johnson is Justin Termine. How are you today, Termine?
Much better. Oh yeah, I'm doing great. It's a fantastic afternoon here, and always happy to jump on the pod.
Termine, explain to me from your perspective, because obviously you are an NBA show. You are all NBA, SiriusXM NBA Radio. Why do you think NBA ratings are down right now?
Listen, I'm not buying into they're going up against the World Series, even though it's Yankees and Dodgers this year. I'm not buying that it's going up against politics. I just think it's the modern day age where people don't necessarily watch the games. The younger generations don't watch the games. And then you also have on top of that, you've got guys like Joel Embiid that don't seem to care about the regular season. Kawhi Leonard has done that for years. The Clippers, where they're talking about, hey, we're going to load manage, and that's going to be a part of the way we do things. Everybody thought it was funny back when Popovich did it. And he did it, I think, to your Miami Heat was probably the most high-profiled one. Guess what? If people follow suit, then the product's going to suffer. That's why, I'm up here in Boston. I'll throw a little support behind the Celtics here and talk about something I'm appreciative that they do. And I'm sure they'll go through like a period in time where maybe they're not run like this. But right now, they care about the regular season. That should be celebrated. We should commend them for doing that. If everybody approached the regular season the way that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown do, and I think you might agree with this, even though they're the rivals of the Heat, then I think we'd be in a better spot because they actually care and go out there every single night and play like it. So we have to add value back to the regular season. So that other stuff has something to do with it, maybe the three-point shooting as well. But I think it's just the approach of, hey, the regular season doesn't matter. You got Trae Young. Oh, the regular season's boring before he's ever accomplished anything. We've got Kyrie Irving. The regular season doesn't matter. Guys sitting out like Joel Embiid. Even your guy, Jimmy Butler. I don't try until after the All-Star break. No, that's not good for the sport.
All right, so let's talk about Embiid here because the Heat last played a couple nights ago. They played the Sixers. I don't like the Sixers anyway. I really dislike Embiid because I think Embiid embodies a lot is what is a major issue in the NBA today. So I don't want to see him have any success. I don't want to see the Sixers have any success with the way they go about things with Embiid. So the other night, the Heat ends up blowing the Sixers out in the second half. And then you have the team meeting, which ends up getting leaked after the game. Lowry calls a team meeting. Maxey calls out Embiid. Do you think that Joel Embiid is showing signs of a player who maybe doesn't want to be in Philadelphia anymore?
Does he want to play basketball anymore if it's not in the Olympics where you can kind of get like a free ride? I don't know. You answer me that question. But this is not something that's new. So I wouldn't say necessarily that he is showing signs of a guy that doesn't want to be there. And the reason I would say this is his attitude any different than it was several years ago? There was reports that he wasn't keeping himself in the best of shape. You got the Yaron Weitzman, I think, piece the other day where he's talking about going to a lot of these games. He's showing up an hour beforehand. I just think it's been an unserious approach there ever since Embiid's been in the league, and that's partly on him, and it's partly on the way that the organization has been structured with Brett Brown and Sam Hinkie letting him get away with things, then Brian Colangelo and Doc Rivers and Elton Brand letting him get away with things, and maybe Daryl Morey at this point right now, and Nick Nurse, and finally somebody said, and it took a 24-year-old Maxey to do it, so congratulations to him for having the guts to step up. But I don't think it's any different really than the last 5 or 6 years with Embiid. I just think, one, somebody had the guts to stand up and say something. And two, he's not producing on the floor, and he's been one distraction after another. So when you're not producing and you're a distraction, people don't let the crap fly anymore.
where do you think that they wind up going from here? Because I mean, I think we're talking 5 years, $300 million. Like eventually he's going to make $70 million a year at some point during this contract. Where do the Sixers go now?
Well, I mean, you tell me what his trade value is, right? I mean, because we're talking about a guy that won an MVP a couple of years ago. I mean, Miami's a team that's always looking to get somebody who's unhappy, right? Like a major star. Would you want him on the Miami Heat for that?
No chance. No chance.
Like I heard Scalabrini mention on our morning show on SiriusXM NBA Radio the other day. He said, like, and I don't know if you'd have to go this far, but he's like, I think in order to move him, you'd have to attach Tyrese Maxey to him.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if, there's always a stupid team out there that's going to do something to get desperate. I don't know if you have to go that far, but the point remains that with a guy as talented as he is, you shouldn't have to ask the question what his trade value is. It should be 29 other teams lining up to get him.
I mean, it's what we're seeing right now. Is it a product, you believe, of a player who is not healthy? He's playing 3 games. And by the way, apparently in that team meeting, he complained about the way he's being used. You've appeared in 3 games so far. I mean, how about start appearing in a handful of games before we complain about the way that you're being used? But I was watching him out there against the Heat the other night. I felt like I was watching 2000 Patrick Ewing. Like I don't know if there's any turning back. Maybe this is who he is now.
Yeah, well, so, and this is going to be a topic I'm talking about a little bit. And by the way, I think Nick Nurse, one of the better head coaches in the sport, and Nick Nurse used him better than any head coach had prior to last year, right? Where he's turning him into a little bit more of a passer. They're running the offense through him. He's not playing with like Ben Simmons or James Harden. So the way he was used last year was, I think, fantastic. And that would have been the way he was used this year again if he has been actually out there on the floor. So I'm with you. You shouldn't be complaining about that. And then in regards of like turning it back, how many times do you see somebody that reaches 30, 31, 32, and they start to go downhill, turn things around? It's very rare. And just for an MVP caliber player, like go throughout history, what is it? Maybe Willis Reed, who had some injury issues, who was done by the age of 30, being very productive. Same thing with Derrick Rose, Bill Walton, Bob McAdoo. Maybe you could make an argument by age 30, Dave Cowens was done, but that's the list. Every other person that's won an MVP has still been a very productive player at the age of 30 and somebody you'd want on your team. And with Embiid, I don't know if that's the case. And can you have this much wear and tear on your body? And like, that's why, I hear like Kendrick Perkins, shut him down for the season, come back next year. Chandler Parsons, shut him down, have him come back next year. You can't do that because it's only going to get worse. You got to take advantage of what he is right now, because I don't think it's getting better.
Did you guys spend a lot of time last week on Spoelstra after the Heat lost the Pistons with the timeout?
Yes, we did spend a lot of time on that. And, basically my take was that it doesn't change the fact that he is still the best head coach in the sport, and he's still one of the greatest head coaches in the history of the sport. So that doesn't change. But, clear, I don't know. And you tell me, you're a big NBA guy. I'm not sure that I've ever seen any head coach get as flustered as he got in that final second with not just the timeout, but it looked like they were disorganized defensively, and maybe he even had an extra guy on the court prior to that play unfolding. Then the timeout, of course, and then not knowing whose ball it was, inserting Kevin Love. So again, doesn't change the fact that he is the best head coach in the sport right now by a significant margin. He is, on the outside, I think, of the Mount Rushmore in my book with Popovich, Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson, and Pat Riley. Like, he's right outside that group. You want to do like a starting 5? Maybe he's in it. That's how much I think of him. But that was still one of the most flustered moments I've ever seen from any head coach ever.
What do you do about Tyler Hero? Because he's playing at an all-star level right now. Not only is he scoring, he's shooting a very high percentage from the floor and from 3. He's been the team's best player. But I wonder, trade value is obviously going to rise with the way he's playing, but maybe you want to keep him if you're the Heat, if this is the player he's growing into. But at the same time, I ask myself, are you a championship-level team if Tyler Hero's your best player?
Yeah, I mean, you're not. And that's the positive, is how good he has been, right? And like, my criticism of him, the only criticism I ever offered of Tyler Hero was people saying that he's Tyrese Maxey. I still don't think that he's necessarily Maxey. And Maxey's been great this year as well. But you're right, and he can't be your best player. Like, you should be, ecstatic with what he's become. And I'll put it this way: if Bam Adebayo was doing what Bam Adebayo should be doing, and Jimmy Butler was doing what Jimmy Butler should be doing in this Eastern Conference, I mean, really, in this Eastern Conference, you'd at worst be the third worst team. But right now you're not, because Butler seems to have maybe checked out, and then with the contract situation, we knew that could go one of two ways. And then Bam's lack of aggression, like we know Jimmy's, got a lack of aggression for some reason. Where's Bam's aggression? I like every time that I watch a Heat game, or I see them in a postseason series, they say, you get aggressive Bam who's looking for a shot, you're going to be successful. If you get a more subdued Bam, that's bad for the Heat. And right now he's really been subdued most of the year.
What were your takeaways from last night in Boston? Cavs put up a really good fight. Are the Cavs for real?
Yeah, I was at the game. That'll be the lead here tonight on my show, 4 to 7 Eastern time with Eddie. That'll be the lead. And my big takeaway was that's the first one. Hey, the Cavs lost, but you got to take them seriously. They made a statement because they don't have Max Strus, they don't have Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, Karis LeVert. I understand that Porzingis isn't there, but they fall behind by 21 points against a team in Boston that was really locked in. Darius Garland goes 3 of 21, and you still made it the game and could have won at the end with a break or two. So I think that was a legitimate statement, even in a loss for Cleveland.
Are the Milwaukee Bucks going to figure this thing out?
No. I mean, no. Like, Philadelphia at least has like if you said, all right, Embiid's going to revert. Now, I don't think Embiid's going to revert, but at least you can put that in your back of your mind that they will. With this team, I mean, their age is just too significant of a hurdle. They can't, guard anybody. And, maybe you lucked out there down in Miami by not getting it. Sometimes you luck out by the pieces that don't hit. I don't know if you'd want Lillard now. Like, would you, before Tyler Hero wasn't good enough to trade for Damian Lillard? Maybe now Damian Lillard's not good enough to trade for Tyler Hero, because
I'm not so sure. Yeah, I'm not so sure the Lillard stuff is over with the Heat, but I think the holdup is if the Heat and Bucks are on the phone talking about Lillard, I think the Heat say, thank you for the phone call, but the guy we want is the other guy.
Is Giannis. I mean, yeah, who won? I mean, that's the concerning part. Like, that's the other. First of all, Lillard can't guard anybody, so that's a major problem when you're talking about winning basketball. Nobody cared in Portland, but when you a championship contender, you have to, like, a guy's going off for a career night if he's facing Damian Lillard. But with Giannis, the concerning part about Milwaukee, one of the other reasons I don't think they're going to turn it around is he's putting up MVP numbers. He's looked brilliant, and they're still this bad. Like, what happens if he gets hurt for a week? What happens if his numbers come back down to earth, which is very possible? Then they're in even more trouble. Plus, I mean, it's not like they have exactly Eric Spoelstra as their head coach.
What do you make of the latest installment in this Draymond Green, Zach Edey situation? Yeah. Draymond Green, very, very purposefully, he holds Edey's ankle. You can get hurt like that. Everybody knows that. Taylor Jenkins, coach of the Grizzlies, not happy about it. And Draymond, I guess, shouts back yesterday that the coach is soft, and now he's teaching his players to run to the media and cry.
Well, multiple thoughts on this, probably too many to even run down. But where's the NBA? One, because this guy has consistently been dirty, could have seriously injured Zach Edey, and he doesn't get suspended. He should be suspended, okay? Because they tried to send a message last year. He clearly didn't get it. He should be suspended with his history. And then that aside, the hypocrisy is insane. Here's a guy that was tweeting about Grant Williams and Jason Tatum and that hard foul from a couple of weeks earlier. I didn't see another NBA chime in on it, another NBA player. He chimed in, has nothing to do with his team. Nothing to do with his team. He's chiming in on it. Then Taylor Jenkins chimes in on something that has something to do with his team, and Draymond Green tells him to shut up. Like, so that makes no sense. So Draymond's allowed to talk about Grant Williams and Jason Tatum, but Taylor Jenkins not allowed to talk about his own player. And then, saying that a head coach shouldn't be running to the media. Does anybody run to the media with more complaints than Steve Kerr? Jokic is foul baiting, which, by the way, he doesn't even do, but Jokic is foul baiting. Marcus Smart dove at a loose ball near Steph Curry's ankles, which Marcus Smart got a lecture for. Then, Dylan Brooks broke the code. Like, Steve Kerr's constantly going to the media complaining about dirty plays from other players, yet he's got the dirtiest player in the NBA. And another coach wants to chime in. Draymond Green's telling him he's not allowed to chime in. I mean, the hypocrisy is hysterical.
Lastly here, Termine, Who do you think has won the trade so far? Who's looked better, Knicks or Wolves?
I mean, the Wolves. The Wolves. I mean, I should say, sorry. The Knicks, and the Knicks got the better player. And Carl, you see what Karl Anthony Towns is doing right now. I think it'll come together. The other stuff, the defense, maybe the chemistry here a little bit. Mikal Bridges has got to be better. Like that trade, as of right now, looks like maybe a loss for the Knicks.
He may not be that good. He had the one he had the good half season when he was traded to Brooklyn in the middle of the year. He may not be that good.
Yeah, I mean, he was good in Phoenix, but he's not good enough to give up 5 first-round picks for. So I think that's the problem. So like that, you want to say that Knicks trade, that one right now is looking like a little bit of a loss for them. But Karl Anthony Towns, I mean, he's been brilliant offensively. They got to figure out what to do defensively. That'll certainly be dictated as to whether Mitchell Robinson comes back. But I think they certainly won. I mean, anytime you're getting the best player, that's big. And then I'm not a big Julius Randle fan, and Dante DiVincenzo was a big fan last year, but maybe he got a little bit of that New York, raising the stock when you play for, the Knicks, the Yankees, etc. And right now he's not off to a good start.
You know what, Termine? I got one more for you here since you're a historian, you know about the game. What do you make of the Lakers announcing they're going to make a statue for Riley outside the arena? Well,
I mean, he deserves it. All right. I mean, I just gave you the Mount Rushmore head coaches. It's Red Auerbach, it's Greg Popovich, it's Phil Jackson, and it's Pat Riley. So why wouldn't you do that with what he accomplished in LA? So hopefully the facelift. I mean, how could you mess up a Pat Riley statue, right? They mess up the Dwayne Wade. Riley's too good looking of a guy. He's got the haircut. I don't think you can mess up the Riley statue.
Great job, Termine. Tell everybody where they can hear you every day, Monday through Friday.
4 to 7 Eastern time, Monday through Friday, SiriusXM NBA Radio and the SiriusXM app. And you just mute it during the portions where Eddie talks.
Great job, Termine. Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, Seth. Now you got me ticked off already with asking me about Draymond. Now I'm going to be, right off the start, I'm going to be lit on the show today.
That's right. I lit a fire under you. You're going to be off and running right when the show gets going. You're welcome.
All right, ZASLOW.